the cornerstone of the modern Republican coalition, continued to shrink as a share of the electorate in 2024, raising the stakes for whether the GOP can hold President Donald Trump's landmark gains among minority voters. Even with Trump having inspired robust turnout among white adults without a college education, two new analyses found those solidly Republican-leaning voters continued their long-term decline as a proportion of all voters in 2024. Trump offset that decline mostly by winning a bigger share of non-white voters, especially men and those without a four-year college degree, than he did in his first two presidential races. But polls now consistently show Trump's approval rating among those minority voters dropping below his 2024 vote share among them, and his standing for managing the economy falling even further. Republicans once viewed Trump's improving performance with minority voters as a luxury for a party powered primarily by its overwhelming margins among blue-collar white people. But as that bloc continues its seemingly irrevocable decline, rebuilding Trump's support among non-white voters for the 2026 midterms and beyond is becoming a GOP necessity. Trump was able to get out a lot of white voters who had not participated in the process, but it's still not enough, said Alfonso Aguilar, director of Hispanic Engagement for Conservative American Principles Project. You still need that broad coalition. Over the three elections with Trump on the ballot, Frey's calculations show white people without a college degree have fallen, as a share of the electorate by about the same amount each time, just over 2 percentage points. They edged below 40% of all voters for the first time in 2020, according to census data, and slipped again to just over 37% of the vote in 2024. Other major data sources on the electorate believe blue-collar, white people represented a slightly larger share of the vote than the census found. Catalyst and the AP VoteCast, for instance, both estimated that white people without a college degree cast 42% of all votes in 2024. But those sources generally show the same downward trend. Catalyst has calculated that blue-collar white people declined 2 percentage points as a share of voters in every election since 2012. Almost exactly the same rate of decline Frey and others have tracked in the census data. This erosion is especially striking because it has come despite Trump's undeniable success in inspiring more working-class white voters to come out on Election Day. Turnout among eligible white voters without a college education spiked from 57% in 2012 to over 64% in 2020 before dipping back below 63% in 2024, according to Frey's analysis. That was a much greater increase in participation than for Latinos or college-educated white voters over the same period. Black voter turnout in the Trump years, though robust in 2020, has fallen considerably from its peaks in the Barack Obama era. Yet despite growing turnout, white voters without a college degree are still shrinking as a share of all voters. The explanation for that seemingly incongruous trend is that turnout is only one of the two factors that shape how large a share of actual voters each group makes up. The other factor is the number of potential voters in each group. For white people without a college degree, rising turnout isn't enough to overcome a decline in their share of the eligible voter pool as American society grows better educated and more racially diverse. A lot of people say demography isn't destiny, but in this case it is, Frey said. No amount of political mobilization by the GOP, Frey said, has been able to offset the fact that blue-collar white people are a smaller part of the population. And that trend is likely to continue. From election to election, the political impact of this erosion can be almost imperceptible. The steady decline of blue-collar white people as a share of the electorate didn't prevent Trump from increasing his overall share of the vote in each of his three national campaigns. But the imprint of this change deepens over time. Trump, in his 3 runs for the White House, has won about 2/3 of white voters without a college degree, roughly the share that Reagan captured in his 1984 landslide, according to the exit polls. But while that support was sufficient to net Reagan nearly 3/5 of the total votes cast that year, Trump hasn't reached a majority of the popular vote in any of his 3 races. Trump did cross 49% and win the popular vote for the first time in 2024, but that required him to achieve a breakthrough with voters of color. Nothing may influence the GOP's prospects in 2028 and beyond more than whether the party can hold those gains, which already look more tenuous than they did last November.